No, absolutely. And maybe I'll take a step back before I get to that question, because I think some of the history and where we've been is very important in this effort as well. I mentioned I've kind of been working on traceability with the industry since I kind of walked into the doors of the Uniform Code Council at the time, which is GS1 US. And part of what we saw in that 2005, 2006 timeframes were some really wide sweeping recalls. 2006 was when we had spinach, right? And some people, I
Mhm.
think in California, had headlines in the newspaper that had FBI just surrounding facilities
Oh my
because
God.
spinach was a terrible outbreak. People were getting sick. We had deaths that were occurring. We couldn't trace exactly where it came from. So
Hmm.
we were just getting rid of all the spinach that we had. And even within that, it took 6 years for spinach sales to get back to where they were. And after the spinach recall, we then had tomatoes, which ended up being the jalapeno peppers coming from Mexico. And so all of this activity really kind of sparked two things. One is the produce industry kind of came together and said, we really need to figure this out.
Yeah.
And it's not that companies aren't doing what they need to do, they so are. But the problem
Hmm.
is I'm doing it inside of my four walls. So what I'm
Right.
doing means something to me, the way I identify my products, the way I talk about them, how I capture and store information in my system about where I harvested, what field, how many cartons did I do out in the field, what came into the cooler. It's in my language. Right. So then when I turn around and I ship it to Anne, everything I'm sending doesn't make any sense to her, but inside of her four walls, she can capture all the information she needs to around the
Sure.
product, right? But it was getting to that common language. And I think that's where the standards really provide guidance is we're now tying your internal traceability systems and an external communication so that everybody can speak that language and understand it so that we can be effective in the tracebacks.